People can tell if something's real, and people long for what's real. There's this innate urge where people need it, you know? So I'm here to deliver it.
You can make really cool, crazy stuff with AI, but you can't replace like real life, real story, real relationship. Like that's just like, it is literally impossible. I know it's going to try to do everything it can to try to do, but it just never will. Yeah. And so when I think about these types of stories, it's like, this might be one of the few areas that really is recession proof. Not even just recession proof, but you know, I don't want to say like COVID proof, but like there's just, there's always going to be beautiful stories that can be told.
There's a lot of filmmakers out there that, people that work in weddings, and you're dealing with people's stories. You do corporate work and you're dealing with people's stories. There's so much that I learned doing legacy films that people don't even think of. There's problems that people don't even know that exist. And I want to share that knowledge with people so they don't have to, take a machete to the freaking woods for 16 years like I've had to do. I can alleviate a lot of problems for people.
Hey, on episode 462 of the podcast, we talk about how a near-death experience led to building a $24,000 legacy film business and why this might be the most recession-proof niche in video production. We also go over the interviewing techniques that make strangers feel comfortable sharing their deepest stories and why kicking everyone else out of the room is crucial. And then finally, why my guest Clinton shoots with a $50,000 Sony Burano and builds Hollywood-level sets in people's living rooms, plus the math that shows he's earning at least $250 an hour. What is up, my friend? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business Show. I am Ryan Coral, your host, and I am so happy that you are here. I am thrilled to have one of my mastermind members, Clinton, join us. He's got lots to share, and it's ironic and interesting. There is so much buzz around this idea of legacy films. And I think it's born out of our desire. So many of us that do video production love storytelling and people's stories. I can rewind to when I was coming up with the first business name for my business, and it was all about the stories of our lives. And so anyway, it's just fascinating to me that I don't know, I don't know how or why right now, but so many people are talking about wanting to do legacy films, wanting to create a brand all around legacy films, wanting to go all in on legacy films. So that's interesting. I've got a link where there's more information around legacy films. So I think I'm going to link to a couple of these podcast episodes where we've talked about legacy films. So if you've been thinking about it, you can maybe get inspired by some of these ideas that I know Matt is doing this, Clinton is doing this, and my friend Wes and my new friend Martin. So information, I'm gonna just leave a link here, studiosherpas.com/legacy. So if you're interested in doing legacy film stuff, or you want to go deeper in it than you already are, go to that page. I'm going to have some resources there. There is an event coming up in Nashville that if it's not passed by the time you listen to this episode, you can get information there. And if it is passed, you can still get more information, resources there. So anyway, I would love for you to have that information and to be able to do this, because this is like probably some of the most fun and meaningful kind of work, to capture somebody's life story and tell it in a way that can inspire future generations. I mean, that's pretty stinking cool. Anyway, if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you feel welcome, and I hope that you walk away from this episode with some ideas, inspiration, encouragement in this world, because running a video production business can be difficult. I've experienced it, been up and down all over the place. But I'm glad that you're here. And if I can be a resource for you, amazing. If I can introduce you to some incredible people, then I would love to be able to do that as well. So anyway, welcome. Buckle your safety belts. You're in for a wild ride with my friend Clinton. Let's roll the episode. Here we go. What's up, friend? Hey, welcome to another fascinating episode. I'm so annoying. Episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. Today, I'm with Clinton Haby, who is the legacy filmmaking pioneer, also mastermind member, and also the person who's always early and always just has some very well played joke or ready to play joke. Dude, you are one of the most witty humans, also one of the most kind and really humble and smart. And I love what you're building. I'm excited for you to be on the show today to share some of that. Welcome. Yes, I'm so glad to have you, Clinton.
Man, it's one hell of an intro. It's going to be all downhill from here.
Hey, you know what? Just stop talking and we'll be great. Let's just end it. Thanks for joining us, and that's a wrap.
This will be the only Grow Your Video Business podcast where you do all the talking.
While a guest is present.
Yeah, of course.
Clinton, thanks for listening in today. Really appreciate you. And if you want to hear more from Clinton, well, it's not going to be on this episode.
That actually would be totally on brand for me because I spend my entire life listening. That's my wheelhouse. I freaking listen. So anyway, I'm down to talk also, maybe today.
DTT. Yes, I think that's what it is. Okay, let's just start with the most important thing because I don't know anything about this, but every time it's mentioned, jaws drop, eyes get really wide. What kind of camera do you shoot with?
I have a few, but probably the one that you're talking about is a Sony Burano. And it's the first like legitimate movie camera that's designed to be operated by one person because all the controls are on the operator side, not for like an assistant camera person. And when they announced it, I was like, holy crap. Like this is what I need because not only does it have the internal ND, it also has the internal stabilization and all kinds of like frame rates and like all the things that makes it super simple for me to get a lot of keeper content really fast and then not have to spend a ton of time in post making it look great. And so It's stupid expensive, but it also saves me time, and time is money, no? So
this is true. Yes, it is hilarious. Like every time you've said that, I know there's a handful of people in the mastermind that are just like, dude, like that is amazing. It's so cool. So I wanted to come out of the gate swinging here for those that the names of gear things like mean something to you. There you go. Clinton is legit. Like he does great work. He has plans to do some really cool stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later. But man, I appreciate you so much as a person, and I love your heartbeat behind the work that you're doing today with story legacies. Talk a little bit about what is like, where does this passion come from, and describe a little bit of what it looks like when it's playing out.
Yeah. Well, the passion in the first place, we're all a culmination of our life experiences and all the things that we've taken in over time. And, like I said, I love to listen, right? And so that didn't just come out of nowhere. I've been around, this legacy of storytelling, right? And when I was a little kid, times are way different now than what they used to be. Like now, the kids, like life revolves around the kids, right? But when I was a little kid, like the kids are off to the side. I was in the living room playing like that vibrating football field electronic football game with my sister while the adults were in another room and they were telling stories, having a blast, having a good time. And so it's almost like this want for human connection that drives me to listening in the first place, right? Because if you understand somebody, you know where they're coming from, then you know how to connect with them. And so for me, it came from wanting to keep my grandparents' stories because my grandfather in particular, which my grandmother is also amazing, but she was kind of like the main cheerleader for my grandfather's deer hunting stories. And I'm from Texas, in case anybody didn't know. So I grew up on the side of a hill outside of San Antonio in Texas, out like in the woods, right? So this is what you're dealing with today. So for me, I'm a little kid, right? And my grandpa is talking about like running through the night through, brush and cactus and barbed wire and all the adventures that he experienced. chasing deer for other people in the middle of the night. And, you know, I'm like scared of the dark. Right. And so my grandfather is like this pinnacle of like
Yeah.
manliness. And,
Right.
and I'm like, I would be fortunate to be like that someday. Right. And so I grew up idolizing my grandparents. And I had the epiphany one day. I was talking to a couple of my buddies who typically they're engaged with the things that I say, but I was retelling one of my grandfather's stories and it was just totally flat. They were uninterested. And I just had this epiphany of, you know what, there's nothing like the first person perspective. Like it needs to come from Pop, my grandpa, for it to resonate and for it to retain that magic. So I was like, man, I got to record him.
Yeah.
I got to do this myself. So it was almost like this innate urge that I felt where I knew that I had to grab this while the window of opportunity was there for me to grab it. And I just did it for myself. And once I did that, then it was a start of a journey of like, how do I make this sustainable and how do I do this for other people? Because I know I'm not the only grandkid that loves their grandparents. Like I need to figure this out. Right. And yeah, I mean, that was 2009. It's been 16 years and yeah, I've accomplished some things since then, but you never know everything. It's nonstop learning.
So what does the bulk of your work look like today? How are you making money? Is it full time? Give us paint that picture for us.
Yeah, I mean, I've been full time story keeping since 2009. When I was first starting, my dad was like, "Hey, you know, it's going to take you some time to figure it out, and you know, you can help me out in the shop." My dad's automotive mechanic. He's a one-man shop. Basically. As far as working on cars, my mom does a ton behind the scenes with bookkeeping and answering phones and that kind of thing. But when it comes to like turning the wrenches, it's dad. So he was like, "Hey, work in my shop and until you figure everything out." And what I learned is that I basically needed to like torch the ship and just go after it full time, or it was never going to happen because I was getting home exhausted. But yeah, I mean I've been full time since 2009. The bulk of my work is legacy films. It is interesting that there's this corporate application of the same skill set where, and yeah, like maybe this can be inspirational for the corporate filmmakers out there. Like you're dealing with people. You think that you're working on a business story, but you're dealing with people, especially when you're interviewing a founder or someone that has inspiration and has spirit.
Yeah.
You want to capture that. And there's some nuance to legacy films, but yeah, I mean, the bulk of the productions that I do, it's families that are commissioning me to capture their loved ones' stories and to create something special for them.
Such important work. I was sharing earlier on another interview that I had and was just talking about my journey into this work where, you know, Andrew and I got married in 2003, and 3 months after we got married, my dad told me, he said, "Hey, I saw the doctor, and you know I've been diagnosed with cancer, and he's giving me like a year to live." And we were just like devastated. And you know, my relationship with my dad really had started to peak. You know, it's like we were the closest we had ever been, and we didn't have a good relationship growing up. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then 3 months later, he passed. And a couple of months after that, you know, I'm still new in this video business. No, sorry, I launched the business the next year. And it was shortly into launching that business that a friend was like, "Hey, I've got this wedding I'm photographing. They got $500. They need a video. You want to do it?" I did it. And as I'm doing it, all I'm thinking about is the family dynamics and capturing this legacy piece for this family, creating it, giving it to them, and them just like their minds were blown. This was the first wedding I ever had shot and edited. And I was just like, oh, okay, maybe there is something to this. Maybe I do have a knack for capturing, you know, not just like pretty stuff, but like elements of story. And so that really became my impetus was being able to create legacy type, treasures, and it motivated me. It got me excited and fired up for this work because I knew how meaningful and important it is. So I just want to acknowledge that this work that you're doing, that you have the opportunity. I know people are going to listen to your story and just be jealous and think like, wow, I am stuck like filming, mosquito capture company. It's like, okay, yeah, great. But to think about, the real important stuff, like, wow, how cool would that be to build a brand around that kind of storytelling, those kind of, documentary style things? That's pretty cool. For you in doing this work, for, was it 15, 16 years? Yeah. How are you marketing? Like what is the plan for marketing and scaling this thing? Like, where do you want it to be? What does that look like? Do you have all the work that you want?
Great question. So when I first started StoryKeeping, I thought, this thing's going to be like Coca-Cola and Xerox. And like, I don't, this kind of,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Hotcakes. And I, looking back, I was so adorable. Right. And delusional.
That's how I describe it.
Like when, I want to pat myself on the head and be like, God bless you for having that kind of enthusiasm and energy. But that's what everybody should have when they're starting something, right? If you don't have that, 100%. You're on the wrong track, right? So it has not been easy, right? Like anytime that you're going down a path that other people are not just, interstate blazing down, you've got the machete and you're whacking at every little brush. Like it's just hard, right? And so I was actually, shout out Matt Davis, mastermind member, Studio Sherpa's co-founder guy.
Oh man,
I told him because he was telling me, I had this idea for legacy film so long ago, but I didn't chase it. And I told him that monetarily what he did was the correct move, was to chase after wedding films. Because for the longest time, I don't know that society was ready for this. Right now, what's happening is you have services like Storyworth that are just dumping money into advertising. And, Ancestry.com, 23andMe. There's all this like outside conversation and momentum that's elevating the idea of, hey, you know what? Maybe we should pay attention to where we come from. And maybe this is important, right? And so I've never had the marketing budget of a Coca-Cola or Xerox. What I've always relied on was kicking as much tail as possible on my current production so that they tell their friends and that leads to the next thing, right? And I've never been in a position where I'm just not wanting to do more, like when you're talking about that first wedding that you did and it resonated with the client and you get that hit of, I've created something special. You want to do it again for the next person. And it's that inspiration that keeps you going. Right. So from a marketing perspective, I could do way more with marketing. Am I doing Facebook advertising and split testing or anything like that? No, I'm not. There have been things that I've had in my favor. And it's not like I didn't earn any of the things that are in my favor, but I have a large personal network around San Antonio. I have multiple branches of my family that have been here since the 1840s. And so I have advocates and people that have known me since before I can remember, and they know who I am and they know what my family stands for and that sort of thing. And so they advocate for me. And then also I went to Texas A&M in College Station. It's a huge public university, and I was super. That's Roadrunners. That's UTSA Roadrunners. We beat them on Saturday, which is not surprising. They're not a massive football program. Gig 'em. Everybody, how can you? It's like the best hand sign on the planet. Thanks, Michigan.
I knew there was a hand sign.
Good Lord. Okay, so I volunteered like crazy in the Texas A&M ecosphere for like over a decade. And so,
Yeah.
and a lot of people have been in touch with me like through the years. They know what I'm up to, and they've watched StoryKeeping grow, um, like since its infancy. And actually, that recent production that I was on in Wyoming, I was in Wyoming for a week. It was mostly funded by a federal grant. I was capturing the legacy of a town, a frontier town. Amazing project that actually came from my involvement through the A&M Club in San Antonio. A woman that owns a historic hotel in that small town has watched my journey through the years. And so, yeah, I mean, the seed was planted in like 2012, 11, for this production, which just, it reinforces the idea that everything that we do builds us to where we're supposed to be, right? And so, yeah, like it's, how do I market? I mean, I was marketing a decade ago.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of like institutional built-in goodwill via community that I didn't have to pay for, but I paid for it with my energy and my time, right?
Yeah, it's like a personal brand kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's authenticity, right? Which, like being on camera right now is not completely comfy for me, right? Like people may recognize it, may not, but I've always said that the eyes are the window to the soul. Like if you can look into someone's eyes, you know what they're thinking, you know what they're feeling, and you know what they're communicating. And that's one of the strengths of filmmaking, is that you are capturing what somebody legitimately thinks and what they legitimately feel. And if it's like 90%, people can tell. If people's eyes are darting back and forth, they're reading a teleprompter, they can tell, and they don't want it.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I mean, segue into AI, right? People can tell if something's real, and people long for what's real. There's this innate urge, where people need it, so I'm here to deliver it.
Yeah, I love that. I'm thinking too, I think the concept of this, I don't know, this type of video, it's like, I think for the longest time, I thought when we were doing weddings, I was like, oh, this is like, we went through the recession in 2008, and being in Detroit, it was like this area was impacted, but we were targeting high end, people that had a lot of money, and they weren't nearly as impacted as,
Right.
a lot of other people. And so our business, we actually did really well in 08 and 09, and people were like, what the heck? So I just had this mindset of like, oh yeah, like, there's always going to be weddings. And then fast forward to 2020, and you've got all these, service-based businesses that can't do anything. All these wedding filmmaking companies, it's just like, oh shoot, like this, people closing shop because they just didn't have the work. Legacy type stuff, like this story, like documentary style, bring in AI, you can make really cool, crazy stuff with AI, but you can't replace like real life, real story, real relationship. Like that's just like, it is literally impossible. I know it's going to try to do everything it can to try to do, but it just never will. Yeah. And so when I think about these types of stories, it's like, this might be one of the few areas that really is recession proof. It's like, or not even just recession proof, but I don't want to say like COVID proof, but like there's just there's always going to be beautiful stories that can be told, and to build a business around that, it's pretty cool. And when I say pretty cool, I mean like really just amazing, fascinating. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and this idea, oh yeah, my Wes Wages, he's been part of the Studio Sherpas community forever. We were talking about this legacy film idea, and I'm just like, if I had to like burn everything down and pick a lane, and I could just like choose a lane. I love having a podcast, right? I get to have so many of these amazing, inspirational conversations. But to think about like that next level, I love being in the seat across from the person on camera and digging in and having them share. Like, tell me more about that story. You've never shared that story? Wow, this is amazing. Okay, yeah, let's talk. Like what you're doing, I'm like, yeah, this would be in the top I don't know, 2, 3 things that I would say I could do this forever, because it is fascinating. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an outcropping of my soul, right?
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, when I first graduated from A&M, I actually, before I graduated from A&M, I did an internship for Clear Channel Radio in San Antonio because I thought I wanted to be a DJ, which would be fun. I love music, grew up listening to the radio. It was just, I love making people laugh. Yes, absolutely.
this is my it says WXOU. I had a show my freshman year of college. It was amazing, let me tell you. Continue. We're just like kindred souls here,
Yeah.
man.
Hello, brother. Good to meet you. 23andMe united us. It it seemed like a great idea, good place to be. Long story short, I interviewed the DJs and they were like, yeah, it looks like fun, but we have to sign non-competes, and if we don't make ratings, we have to move to a different city and all this. I have roots in San Antonio, right? And so like I'm like, God, it's maybe not the life for me. I was an account executive because I saw that these people, they could write ads, which I love copywriting. They can still voice things if the production people upstairs love them, which I ended up voicing thousands of commercials, writing all these radio ads. And I was like in charge of my destiny, right? Until I wasn't. And they changed the commission structure in a way where people that had been there for a long time got like massive massive cuts, right? They're commission based, but they're making like 30% less a year just because the company's like, this is what we want, which it's a classic, it's corporate America stuff and trying to be more efficient and squeeze more out of less. And so I saw that and I was like, you know what? My dad has always told me, if you want to be in control of your life, you're probably going to want to start your own business at some point. And I was taking stock of who I am, what I love, what I care about, things that come naturally to me. And for the longest time, I could just sit there, not say anything, and people open up to me and talk to me about their life and concerns and problems that they have. And my brain, for whatever reason, it connects things in ways that are helpful to providing people clarity. A byproduct of that is making sense of their story. And I was just thinking, man, like this, this urge of wanting to document my own grandparents paired with, I could do this the rest of my life and be super happy doing it and could do incredible work for people, right? That's what it was. It was just this epiphany of, I was kind of created to do this. Yeah. The big curveball was that, I had this background in audio. I had edited songs when I was in college for my friends, like mashups of rock songs and stuff, so we could just totally jam out, right? Like I had that background and then I work in radio and okay, like I edited a little bit of audio. Okay, I'm like solely audio focused. But then like I launched StoryKeeping and it's solely straight audio. But I had people telling me, I love the idea of what you're doing, but I want to see, I want to see my dad's face when he tells that story. Or like my grandmother, she talks with her hands and I want you to capture that energy. Can you capture that? And I'm like, crap, man, I got to learn video. And that's where stuff really got interesting because you can screw up video really fast, but you can also be so purposeful with it. And that's the point that I've gotten to now is just all the different rabbit holes that you can just go down and become an expert or close to in so many different areas where you can create some pretty amazing content if you're willing to put in that work, or if you can puppeteer, manage other people doing it, which a lot of people do, which is a road that I have not gone down, but is something I'm going to have to consider as I'm getting older.
Getting older. Also, part of that, I remember going to conferences, when I shot that wedding. And then I was like, this is what I want to do. I started shooting more weddings, and I went to a conference in 2006. It was the first like video related conference that I had gone to. And I remember seeing these guys. This is going to sound hilarious because I think at that point they were probably in their mid to late 40s, and they were speaking on stage, and they were all like wedding filmmakers. And it occurred to me, I'm like, these guys aren't going to be able to do this for it. They look old already. So what are they going to do? What's their retirement plan? Like, do they have 401k? Do they have like, how long can they carry around all this gear? Like at that point I had a glide cam, and I had a full vest, and, this whole carrying like, I don't know how many pounds around with me on a wedding day, but it was hard work. I was sweating all the things off, and I was like, what? And then what if their back goes out? What do they do? Like, if you're the only person that's doing all the shooting or the majority of it, and then the editing, and you're meeting with clients, like what? So what is your strong, like your gifting? It's not all the things, and maybe. Maybe you are really good at the filmmaking, but are there better filmmakers out there? Okay, probably people with better at the cameras, but even better stories. Okay, so it's not that. It's like, all I've got is like my story, my passion for what we do, how we do it. And that, I think I understood that early on and leveraged that. It's like, I know how to sell this stuff because I believe in it so much. Yes. So for you, I think one of your strengths, again, is going to be interviewing, sitting on the other side and making somebody feel so comfortable and like want to share their story. So as you reflect on, what am I good at? What do I like doing? What's going to be most helpful for the business? That is going to be one of those things, right? It's like, it's maybe the interviewing, maybe it's the interviewing during the sales process. And that's the area that you're like, yeah, I can train people how to ask good questions and how to feel, more engaging in conversation and whatever. But what I can't share, or I can't have other people do, is share my story. Right? My story is mine. Mm-hmm. My reason why I do this is mine. And that's the thing that gets people wanting to pull the trigger on paying for this kind of thing.
No, I mean, I think the gifting, which is funny that you use the word gifting because a client used that on me. Yeah, no joke. I hadn't actually even heard it before. But what she was talking about was my ability to make people comfortable and be fascinated by them, and to not have like a list of questions, but to listen to people intently and get to what they actually want to say and what they're trying to say, to guide them in that process. Shannon is a client. She was like, StoryKeeping is your gifting, and you are obligated to do it as much as you can possibly do it while you are here on this planet, or it is a disservice to God. And I was like, oh man, yeah, I guess I gotta schedule some more shoots, But I've been driven long before she dropped the obligation to God gifting on me. I want this for everyone, right? But that's the absolute last thing that I want to give up is the engagement and the navigation of someone through their story. Because that's going to be hard to coach. I'm not completely against coaching other people how to do it. I think a lot of it, people have to have that. They have to have that in their heart in the first place. A fascination and love of people. If you don't have that, you just don't even try. But there is nuance, and there's things that I've learned over the past 16 years that I can share with people to make them even better and make their productions even better. So, I'm here for it.
What is the average, if you're comfortable talking about pricing or packages, like what's like a range when you start engaging with a client on what they could invest in a legacy story?
Right now, I have 3 different packages where just through the years have kind of narrowed down into these 3 offerings. One is captured, which is the interview, like as it occurs, right? Where we're going 100% for the shoot. I'm not skimping on anything for filming or with the interview. All the content's going to be there just the same. It's just in post-production, we're not chopping it up. We're delivering it as it was told, right? So
Yeah.
2025 pricing, that's 8,000. So, and then there's travel, if I need to go, which I travel all across the United States, as it turns out. The level up from that is chaptered. That's where we're taking the entirety of the story and organizing it into chapter clips, because in these conversations, they're not perfectly chronological unless the person is a robot. And I've only encountered one of them in 16 years. So it takes some time to organize things into, what the family member wants to press play on this and instantly be in the zone with, grandma talking about XYZ, right? So that price point is 13,000. For Treasured, it's effectively the chaptered production, and then we're also creating a 15-ish minute feature film. And that's where we're incorporating, the digitized photos and film videos from clients, and also filming B-roll and using music to complement the feeling and just to make it as impactful as possible. That's what Treasured is, and that one's 24,000, and that's tax included. And so, yeah, like through the years, my rates have gone up a lot, to the point where I've had clients that had used me before that re-engaged me, and they're like, "Hey, it's time to do this family member," and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, well, guess what? Like, yeah, this is
sorry.
This is unfortunate, but I have overhead, and this needs to be a sustainable thing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of what that money is buying is capacity to pay attention to the story and to create something that's worthy of that person, right? So yeah, you can't. I mean, you can go cheap. There's Storyworth, and there's Memento, and there's a ton of, even I think Tales, it's like a deck of cards that you can buy. There's all sorts of ways that people can do things themselves, like super fast. But for me, to make things sustainable, the 8, the 13, the 24 price points make sense. And I can compensate my editor, who's amazing, fairly with those, right? Which it's important to me that everybody that StoryKeeping touches, it needs to be an amazing experience that they would want to do again, right? And that includes my editor. So I have to treat everybody really well.
I love that.
Yeah.
For the captured package, this is the intro. Is that just you going out to film those? Is that a half day? Is it an hour? What does that look like on the production side?
It's funny, like the more that I've gotten into filmmaking, the more that I've learned, the more time I'm putting into like the build out and setup of the set, which these days I'm effectively building out like a Hollywood movie set in someone's living room. And I'm not skimping on the gear. Like I'm rolling in with 6 figures worth of stuff, right? And it's not just, hey, it's about the gear. It's like, well, what are you doing with it? To the point that, I mean, all of the things that I use them for a reason. Like I have put a lot of time and research into all of this stuff, right? So I end up showing up about 2.5 to 3 hours before we film. I budget about 4 hours for the storytelling itself. And it doesn't matter if it's captured, chapter, treasured. I'm there for the interview, right? And it's the interview is going to be just as amazing whether it's captured, chapter, treasured. Like we're not withholding anything, right? So then the interview happens, and you know what? Sometimes we have to press pause. It's time for a little potty break. Ryan has to go TT, and that's fine, right? So, or you know what? Like it's time for a piece of banana bread, and okay, well, we got to do that. Well, obviously we have to do that. It was actually zucchini bread the last time that happened.
Oh, dude, sign me up. Banana bread, lemon bread, zucchini bread, all the breads.
Yeah. So, and then, okay, once we actually press stop, I budget about an hour for teardown. It is all me. And that's one of the things that I think will possibly change over time. As I get older, it's like, can I haul all these hundreds of pounds of equipment?
As you get wiser.
Maybe so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much an idiot when it comes to my approach to things at times, but for a reason. Okay, so one of the first interviews that I ever did, the client wanted to sit in on the interview. And, he's paying for it. He's the client, right? So obviously, I'm not going to tell him no. And so he sits there quiet for maybe like 15 minutes and then pulls out a newspaper. And like the crackle of a newspaper is the most audible microphone picking up sound on the freaking planet. You don't want this, right? Okay, so everybody thinks that they're quiet, but they're not. And so I kick everybody out. And actually, recently I hired someone to film behind the scenes of one of my shoots, which it did change the dynamic of having yet another camera op like in the room, right? The storytellers that I was filming with, I have a good relationship with them already. They weren't strangers. I wasn't going to do that with a stranger. So I already had really good rapport with them and they could handle it for the most part, but it was also a little distracting. So I try to make it so it is just me and the storyteller while we're filming. Absolutely. Even before we start filming, like while I'm building out a set, I'm warming that person up. I'm building rapport with them. And I'm also, I'm taking the nerves down a notch because I'm making jokes, making a little jokey joke, and I'm also explaining to them, like, what does this light do? Right. And like, why is this camera here? And guess what? I'm filming, like, before you press record with me, you totally alleviated the pressure. And you're like, hey, guess what? If you misspeak, fine. Let me know. Hey, I want to take another whack at it. I'm doing the same thing with them, but I'm also telling them, hey, I use this camera over here and this camera over here so that we can change perspective. If you screw up anything, all I have to do in post-production is change the perspective, cut out your mistake. We're coming across Shakespearean out of this thing. So feel free, lay it out there, let it rip, and let me deal with it in post. And that's yet another thing. It drops the temp a little bit and gets people to chill and deliver amazing content, which ultimately, like, that's why I'm there. That's why people are paying me to do it. Right. So no, like it's me that's building out everything. Long term, okay, I'll probably have at least an intern, help me load in equipment, and I'll teach them how to set things up so I can maybe save an hour before the interview. But I'm still probably going to kick them out once I press record because I don't want anybody distracting. Here's something else. Okay, I'm going to drop this too. So people tell stories differently depending upon who's in the room. Right?
It's good. Yeah.
They totally do. And you know what? If I'm over here and I'm behind like the portrait angle cam that I'm using, and there's another camera operator over there, if they even like scratch their leg or something like that, the person is going to glance down, or they'll say something funny and then they'll look over there to see if they're getting a reaction from that person too, right? And it's instinct. People can't help it. But I want them right freaking there with me the whole time.
Yeah.
No distractions. Yeah. I'm a purist, and no, I'm an idiot because everybody else is like, no, crew it up, stupid. Now you're gonna throw out your back. Which, side note, yeah, I have back issues. I got into a head-on with a drunk driver in 2004.
Oh gosh.
I thought I was going to die. And I think that in the subconscious is part of the reason that I started StoryKeeping too, is that I understand my own mortality.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, after I film a legacy film, I really don't calm down until after I've gotten back to the office, I've offloaded all the footage, and it is backed up to the cloud.
Backed up.
Then Clinton Haby calms the hell down. Before then, no. Yeah. Because if something happens to me, at least somebody else can take this footage and, score the touchdown. But like until then, no. Like I feel like my work is not my work is not done. The legacy is not captured until it's safe, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Well, I want to dig in just a little bit more on this because I have a couple of thoughts on the captured package. So you're there, sounds like probably like a full day, full 8 hours, setting up, tearing down, good solid 4-hour block of interview and zucchini bread. Then you dump all the footage, back it up, back it up, back it up. And then this sounds like a very simple edit, chronological. You're probably not cutting out a ton. Roughly how much time do you estimate for post-production time? Like when you're, if you were going to bill hourly, roughly how much time is that?
I could get it done in a couple of days for sure.
It's like 16 hours.
Yeah.
Straight up working on it.
In post. Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. In post.
So you're looking at, and then pre-work, how much time is going into that? Like, are you having pre-interview questions? Is it just like an hour-long discovery call, and then you're like, "Yeah, I got what we need. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll knock this thing out."
That varies because oftentimes it's not like my client is oftentimes not the storyteller themselves. It's family, it's siblings, and so it varies the number of touch points that I need and the number of conversations I need to have and the questions that I'm answering so that everybody's, gung ho. But okay, before the shoot day, you can budget anywhere from, 3 to 6 hours or something like that of, touch points, work, conversations that are going into pre-production. And part of that is that I have the experience where like I can roll into someone's house having never been there before and create something special. Like I'm not doing scouting of people's homes.
Right.
Sometimes they'll send me pictures and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah.
But no. The margin should be incredible on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, mathing. And I'm saying let's just say a full day of like discovery call, talking to, cousin, sister, mom, dad, plus packing. And so let's just say that's at 8 hours. That's 8 hours to include all of that stuff.
Right.
You've got an 8-hour day of production, and then you've got 16 hours or 2 additional days for post. So that's 32 hours divided by, or 8,000 divided by 32. That's like $250 an hour. That's pretty killer, right? $250 an hour at full time, like 40 hours a week, is like $500K, $500,000 a year. That's pretty awesome. Now let's talk about sweet spot. Okay, if we were creating a business plan, I'd say like, okay, Clinton, I don't need you doing any packing. I don't need you doing any post. I mean, this is like, there's no brain science. There's no gifting here. It's just like, move this to here, do this to here. There's no story. It's just straight up. Okay. So, I can hire somebody for $25 an hour that can do all of those other things, happily do all of those other things. And so your sweet spot is going to be that day of production, 8 hours. I mean, I could probably save you some time there, but let's just say it is 8 hours. I'm not going to do more math here because I'll probably mess it up, but your sweet spot where you bring the most value is going to be on the front end, that conversation, that sales call, probably. Is it necessary? No, you could probably train somebody else to ask really good questions to get them interested. They see the product, they know the value of it. So at the bare minimum for you to show up, and let's just say the bare minimum is you doing all the setup and all the tear down, which I don't think but you creating that rapport.
Yes.
And I'll tell you this, I mean, I got to a point in my business, which it was a little bit weird when I would all of a sudden show up on set and I wasn't unpacking the gear and I wasn't setting this stuff up and my guys were, but guess what I was doing? I was hanging out with the client. I was building. I wasn't like looking at my guys and like, hey, you guys are strong. Keep up the good work. You're doing great. Put that camera over there. It was like, no, I'm hanging with the client. I'm building that rapport so that when we do sit down, it's not like, tell me your name again. It's just like, we had 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it was, of warming up and just connecting. And that's your sweet spot. And I'm so excited for you in this business because you've got a model that's working. You have a huge opportunity to be able to bring in help in other areas. And that's why when I'm coaching people and encouraging people to think about, when you build out packages, whatever your entry level package is, make sure that that is sustainable. That if you only ever got hired for that thing, number one, you like doing that work. And number two, it's very profitable. And you've got a model that it can be super profitable, just you, but it can also be even more profitable and less work for you. You could technically, if we look at 8-hour day, you could do 3 to 5 of these interviews in a week. And just imagine if your schedule was only doing interviews with people,
Right.
and you did one a day. And so you were in and out, 4 or 5 hours, like how much revenue that would be for the business, and how fulfilling it would be for you.
Yes.
To not even be thinking about, packing, unpacking, loading, backing up. Obviously you're going to stress until the team says, we got it backed up for you, man. Like we're good. It's all, it's all in the cloud. We've got it all done. But like, can you imagine a world where you are mostly spending time in your sweet spot?
Absolutely. And it's funny, we started out this interview with me talking about how like ridiculously delusional I was at the start, right? Because if you look at my Excel document of, well, this is how my typical week will be. I had like 3 interviews a day. I was like, I'm doing one in the morning. I'm doing one in the afternoon. I could possibly do one in the evening and I make even more money. And it's like, well, at that point in time, I was thinking I would charge $300 for each. Right. And so but I was making millions, No, that was the initial thinking. Right, was that I'm going to be doing a ton of these interviews all the time. The funny thing is that like I actually would be a millionaire if I had a nickel for everybody that told me this business is a great idea. Right. But for whatever reason, there's this delta between people being like, hey, that's a great idea. And then it's like, I'm hiring you, I'm paying you money to do this. Right.
Yeah.
And so I love what I do. What I do is amazing. The content that I create, clients freaking love me for it and want me to be their family member and I show up to birthday parties and stuff for them. That part is amazing. But there is for whatever reason, I think this instinct of like I always have time, Like that's something that I'll do later. Clinton does great work. I've known about StoryKeeping for years, but I'll do that next year. Right. But like I'm not over here to tell people you're going to die tomorrow. Like that's not, right. I can't do that. But I mean, I could have died like in 2004, in that drunk driving thing. Right. So I have this perspective that I understand not everybody else like has. But to your point, if there was, this marketing mechanism in place and other people involved that are scheduling the things for me, there is a scenario where I could skip from one interview to the next and live that delusional, adorable dream that I had in 2008 or 7 or whenever it was that I first put digits to digital Excel.
I do. I love thinking about you doing just more of that. I really like the idea. I mean, just you talking about, you don't have to talk about or tell people, hey, you might die tomorrow, but you share your story and experiences, right. And you share some of the stories in about the families that you've spent time with, and you talk about that importance, and you talk about the reality that we all say, oh yeah, I've got time, we'll do this, and you create content around that to help help us remember like, oh crap, like there is no guarantee.
Right.
And this is a story. If we're going to do this, we got to do this. Like I keep hearing this Clinton guy. He's just like, not like telling me, hey, you're going to die tomorrow. But he's also just reminding me that if we've been waiting, what are we waiting for? And let's capture the story. Let's get dad, mom, let's get them to come into his studio or, whatever. So I do see a lot of value in if you show up, just your persona. It's so unique. It's so special that you're going to create that urgency for people without it feeling like you're pressuring them. And it will become a gift.
Yes.
For people to pull that trigger and say like, we've got to do it. No more. What are we waiting for? Let's just do it. And whether it's with you or it's with somebody else, I know your heartbeat would be that they do it because you know how important it is and how precious it can be. So transition here, we've got to wind down, but I want you to talk about what's new or what's next, because I think it plays right into what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, I'm both delusional and realistic, right? So I'm delusional in the fact that I want to create a story-keeping legacy film for everybody on the freaking planet because I think that everybody is worth that, right? I want that for everyone. Simultaneously, I'm driving to Wyoming to capture the legacy of a small frontier town, and I'm on some interstates that I've didn't even know they existed, right? Driving past thousands of people, and I'm like, each of these people could be a film that I produce, and I can't touch them all. And I'm maybe not even the right person for all of them as much as I would want to be. And so what I want more than anything is for people to have what I have, like for my family, right? Getting emotional. Like my grandpa, like the founding spirit of this whole thing. My grandpa passed away in January, and I was on a shoot in Arkansas. And part of me is like, what the hell am I doing in Arkansas? Like I should be here with my fam. But the flip side of that was that, you know what? There's nobody that I've documented more than my grandpa. He was the first one that I interviewed. I'm so grateful that I did it when I did it, and that I have that sense of peace that no matter what happened, and he was sick for a couple of years, where there were multiple times when I went and saw him and I was like, it's the last time I saw Pop, but that sense of peace is something that I want everybody to have. And since 2009, I've learned so much. There's a lot of filmmakers out there that, people that work in weddings, and you're dealing with people's stories, right? You're, like I mentioned earlier, you do corporate work and you're dealing with people's stories. There's so much that I learned doing legacy films that people don't even think of. There's problems that people don't even know that exist. And I want to share that knowledge with people so they don't have to, take a machete to the freaking woods for 16 years like I've had to do. I can alleviate a lot of problems for people, and they can hit the ground running in ways that I was not able to. And so that's the spirit behind Legacy Film School, is I want to share the knowledge that I have, because it's like the founding spirit of StoryKeeping. If you never take time to reflect, and if you never actually extract the information from your brain, the second that I go kaput, all of that time that I've invested goes kaput with it. And that would be a shame. So LegacyFilmSchool.com is going to be the home of where I share that knowledge, whether it's, me consulting one-on-one, or maybe someday having a mastermind. Oh yeah, thanks for the experience of letting me lead a mastermind the other day. That was fun. Apparently I can do that. I have that within me, which is nice. But also behind the scenes content, just showing how I make my decisions as I go into a living room, which could even be valuable to people that aren't doing legacy films, right? Like lighting is lighting, and interviewing people is interviewing people. So I think I will actually be able to to help a lot of people through that. And, I'm not the delusional entrepreneur of 2008, 2009, when I was starting StoryKeeping, think I was going to become like independently wealthy from this one thing, right? It'll need to be sustainable. I have to like charge money. I don't know what the different price points will be, but we'll figure it out as we go, right? And if I'm creating value for people, then it's going to be sustainable. So yeah, that's like the next chapter in the StoryKeeping journey. It's like I've become an expert in a lot of different things, and I have a lot of knowledge that I can share, and I want more people to be out there creating what I create, because I can't touch them all. I really can't.
Yeah.
So, especially with me approaching things as an idiot and doing everything myself, which there is purpose behind it, and everybody else will have to make their decisions like for themselves, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Dude, that's so good. I'm so excited. LegacyFilmSchool.com. Everything better be launched by the time this episode goes live, or else.
Well, not everything can be launched, right? Like, but it'll at least be something that folks can sign up for and, keep in touch with, etc. It'll be something helpful for folks when they land.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate you so much. I love I just love your heart. Thanks for showing up and sharing your story and inspiring. I know a lot of people. I took some good notes. I have some thoughts. Where else can people follow you and know all things Clinton?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, so I got the good URL, storykeeping.com, legacyfilmschool.com if you want to learn how to do what I do. Also, you can learn a lot just by following my business page, facebook.com, /storykeeping, Instagram, same thing, /storykeeping. LinkedIn, Clinton Haby, be my friend. It doesn't hurt to have new friends. So yeah, I mean, however folks want to follow me, give me a follow, and I'll try to create value for you.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for the last minute saying like, yeah, I can help you out tomorrow, Ryan. Appreciate that. And yeah, I'm better for knowing you.
Well, the first time that I ever met you, I told you, that I had purchased the ticket to the Onward Summit, and I had purchased the video business workshop because I wanted you to keep creating the content that you're creating. My wife hates it when I say this, but I reward good behavior. I do not reward bad behavior, right? Like don't say that to your wives, folks. But for me, you creating the space that you've created helps me, right? And in the same way that when I'm, holding court with the storyteller, I'm creating this opportunity for people to actually reflect and to think about where they came from and who they are and what's possible and how does all of this make sense. Yeah. What you've created with the Studio Sherpas world is this opportunity for people to reflect, actually observe other people reflecting and navigating challenges that maybe you haven't encountered yet. But there's so much that we can learn from each other if we take the time to listen, right? And so, yeah, what you've done, I appreciate. And, just being a part of the ecosphere, and I hope you keep doing it, and I guess give me something else to buy and I'll buy that. So you just keep doing it, some of your wife's sourdough bread, it sounds nice. You mentioned that.
Oh man. Got butter all over the place. Slippery desk. Hey brother, thank you. This is great. Appreciate you, and yes, thank you.
Yep, no, it's an honor, sir. Thank you, man.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. If you got something out of today's conversation, do me a favor, share it with a friend or post it on your socials. Tag me at Ryan Coral or at Grow Your Video Business. I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you've got a question or a takeaway, drop a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. You can also shoot me a message. I read every single one. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more stories, strategies, and behind the scenes insights coming your way to help you build a business that you love. Keep creating, keep sharing your story, and keep showing up. I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.